This is TWiT.
Remember 4 years ago when HoloLens 1 was announced, Microsoft showed games. You know, they did Minecraft. They had spiders from Mars. They had all sorts of stuff. No games this time. Microsoft doubled down on industrial applications. They showed fixing engines, designing theater sets, practicing a surgery before you actually did it. They showed new user interface gestures, which I was very impressed with. We did a live stream of it with Mary Jo Foley, and while she had, I think, been pre-briefed a lot of it, it was very impressive. And the only gaming concession to gaming, or even any consumer application at all, was about a 3-minute visit from Tim Sweeney of Epic, who said, this is going to be great for games, didn't demo anything, and left.
Well, I heard the Unreal Engine will work with it this morning, so cool. Great.
It's really, they really pushed Azure, they pushed the cloud, they pushed enterprise uses.
That's the money ticket.
I think this is the new Microsoft. It's really interesting to...
They're leaning in. To it. Satya is leaning them into it. And a lot of the opinion pieces I read this morning that came out about it were like, this is going to be really helpful in industrial spaces where tech still needs, well, tech really hasn't penetrated yet. Like this is going to help.
Yeah. It is a little pricey. So the original HoloLens developer kit, which has been around for 4 years, was $5,000. This is $3,500.
It's a lot of money.
But I think they did offer something that will be compelling to many businesses. It's $125 a month per seat if you commit to 3 years, which ends up being the same amount. But I think a lot of businesses would prefer that. They can
I'm sure they'll
appreciate it.
Subsidize it, maybe. Have a program to subsidize it.
Well, if you multiply 12 times 125 times 3, I think it comes out more than $3,500 bucks. But knowing how business works, I know it would be a lot easier for us to say $125 a month than $3,500 out the door. And I think they also showed a conferencing, a weird looking. We can show some video of it if we have it lying around. But it was very creepy. Video conferencing. You'd be wearing this thing, and they say much more comfortable. It feels like a hat. It was true that everybody put it on and just kind of they put it on. Wasn't a lot of tweaking and adjusting as there used to be with the old HoloLens. It just worked. It looked like sunglasses up to the brow, and then it was just this massive thing with a forehead suction cup. Oh my gosh! And it goes around your head. It's battery powered. I was told about 3 hours of battery life, which is decent. There's no tether. You're not carrying around a computer with you, except that's what the HoloLens is. In fact, it runs Windows. And they demonstrated this conferencing. So the conferees would both be wearing HoloLens. They can see through the sunglasses part, but they also can see projected onto their meeting room the other conferee. The reason it looked creepy is the other people would use a 2D picture. The HoloLens has time-of-flight sensors for 3D. It has the Kinect sensor on top. So I guess they didn't show it working, but I guess you'd show the 2D picture to the HoloLens, and that would turn it into a 3D avatar view that was creepy as hell. And then you'd be in the room with other people. But what's neat is you could both be looking at a 3D generated model. You could send each other images and pictures. They could have a virtual whiteboard that you'd all be working on. So I think it was kind of fun.
I was just going to say, that reminds me of those 3D pillows that you get printed out of a picture. Yeah,
it's exactly like that. Or if you've ever done Bitmoji, or the Galaxy. Remember the Galaxy? It's creepy like that.
Oh, they have new ones with the. Sorry, that's a Samsung thing. I was going to say.
Yeah.
They have new.
Isn't the holographic field of view or whatever it is bigger?
They said like twice as big, but they didn't say twice. And I don't think it's twice as wide. I think it's twice as tall. So that's twice as tall. That was a big problem with HoloLens 1 because it was like a mail slot.
Yeah, that's what I remember trying it. It was like really amazing in the field of view, and but it was hard for it to be truly immersive. Really, I mean, I know it's mixed reality, but it was hard for you to really kind of dig into it in a way. And I think that was partially the field of view. So it was good. I thought it was good to hear that they had extended that. And I think. I don't know. I mean, the business move makes a lot of sense to me, right? That these are the companies, companies are going to be able to afford this and can actually find. I mean, I've talked to companies in Massachusetts that are already using HoloLens, the first version, for things like turbine maintenance.
Yeah.
And I think that it really does have those applications where you can have somebody who is, who's an engineer and who's trained, but at the same time may not know everything about this particular engine, and run a software program that helps him or her understand how to repair something or how to tweak it, how to change it. I can see that application being really smart.
It does have an AI engine in the headset, and it actually did seem to do a very good job of things like recognizing your hands. So if your hands get in the field of view of the headset, you're now seeing a three-dimensional version of your hands. They've got new gestures that I think make a lot of sense. They had an excellent demo by a millennial showing she played the piano. She pinched and zoomed. It really was impressive. Here's in their trailer video an example of a motorcycle mechanic looking at the map of what he's going to fix and then seeing what he should do. And I think this all makes a lot of sense. That's how we're seeing Google Glass used. Here's a surgeon practicing open heart surgery before she actually does it.
Yes, please.
Yeah, please practice. And you can see, if you look at it, that looks like a fairly comfortable headset. I love it that there's no tether. Clearly, this is a set designer now designing her set in the theater, but there's no real set. It's just being superimposed.
This is the new. This is the new.
It's a new workstation kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've played with Magic Leap. I don't think Magic Leap has as coherent a vision, and certainly doesn't have the ecosystem Microsoft offers. I think they're right now clearly the leader in AR. I mean, there's nobody even close.
And they know who to go after, which is their existing customers, which is enterprise.
And the military.
Exactly.
Well, they didn't mention that. There was.
You don't say.
Yesterday, we got news that about 50 Microsoft employees had signed a open letter to Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, saying, please don't. They apparently signed a $500 million contract with the Department of Defense to use HoloLens in military applications. No mention of that. In fact, no mention of military use at all.
There was a discussion, or rather what I saw on Twitter, was that people were quoting Satya talking about AI and how it's going to exist in the future. And a lot of the subtweets of that were, well.
Yeah. Military. Well, you could, right now, I know there's drone pilots wearing headsets of some kind, probably not augmented reality, probably virtual reality headsets to pilot those drones. Military uses that. It's just not as big as the Jedi, the $1 billion or $10 billion Jedi contract.
It's interesting that Microsoft's response to this, at least such as I saw it, was essentially, we're the best of the best, and why not have the best of the best informing the military as the military does work that is important for, keeping America safe, for lack of a better term. But I do. It does make me wonder, right? Because in theory, this is why people criticize like the military-industrial complex, right? Is this situation where the government is contracting out work to the private industry, and all of these people now have to work on something that maybe helps kill someone somewhere, and those people don't get to work on helping the pianist play the piano or helping the set designer do the set designer stuff, and so. It's a small number of people who signed this letter, obviously, but I thought that was an interesting story this week.
It is only 50. I mean, Microsoft has tens of thousands of employees, but this is something that's been happening all over Silicon Valley. Google decided not to pursue the Jedi contract because of employee revolt, and Amazon ended up doing it. And Jeff Bezos stepped forward and said, look, this is patriotic. It's kind of interesting. When did it become unpatriotic to help in the nation's defense?
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that. I mean,
it's easier to say if you don't pay any taxes, like Jeff Bezos doesn't.
Zero taxes. I got to do something.
Oh, yeah.
This is some of the video from this. Here's the young woman.
Azure Connect.
So they're also selling a $300 or $400 version of the Connect designed for business. It's essentially the sensors that are part of the HoloLens
in a professional box.
In a box. It's not a webcam though. It's designed to do something. I don't know what. I don't understand it. But you can pre-order it now at azure.com/connect. I note. Here's this is the creator, kind of mad scientist creator of both Connect and HoloLens. And he spent a lot of time on stage. I don't know. I actually have kind of admire the new Microsoft. I feel like they have turned this company around. They're smart to focus on cloud and enterprise. There's a lot of big money to be made there. There's the original HoloLens being used in the International Space Station on the right there.
I agree. I mean, I think they've been for the past 5-7 years. I've been really impressed with the direction of the company. And I think also it's really, it's interesting to see this story this week about Apple systematizing its software across platforms or starting on that, because Microsoft already did that, right? I mean, the Windows Phone is long gone by now, but I think they've been leading in some really interesting areas, and HoloLens is a great example of that.
Yeah. Well, Apple's made a lot of noise about doing augmented reality. We haven't seen a product. Google had Glass. I don't think that's anything to write home about. There's Magic Leap, and as I said, I've played with the Magic Leap, but mostly it's games. I get there are some industrial uses. Google Glass, by the way, still is used in industrial.
That's true.
Ways.
Yep.
But nothing like this. And this is Seth, that 2X view, and I think it is. I think it's taller. I don't think it's wider, because it was wide enough. It was, and what you see, and I should point this out, when you use one of these devices, when we talk about field of view, it's not like the rest of it's black. It's just that the images that you're seeing with their special camera, they look like they're full screen images, fit within that view. And if you move your head and they go outside the edge of that, they just disappear. You still see the world around you, but they just the objects you're looking at only appear within that somewhat narrow field of view. So, right. Center of gravity in the middle, that's a big deal, because the imbalanced HoloLens got very tiring very quickly. Here's Julia Schwartz. She did a great job demoing this. She's the millennial I was referring to. And apparently it takes a millennial to really understand how to do this. You can see, the thing can see her hands. She can move her hands. And that means a whole world of gestures are available. It was a little clunky in HoloLens 1. It took some getting used to. This is much easier. See, she can see the edges of where that image is. She can touch it with her hands. She can zoom it. She can pinch it. She can spin it.
It's a full artifact.
Yeah. It's like a thing.
Yeah.
The thing that's weird is you're not touching anything. So while it's reacting to your touch, it's not like your hand stops.
Right.
So she showed a little later on, she showed how they're working on new gestures, like pinch gestures, where your fingers tap each other. And the pinch gesture does give you something to stop your finger. But she's talking about how you push buttons are different. The size of the button determines how you interact with it. If it's a bigger button, you might punch it.
Can we just appreciate that even in this interactive environment, the slider is still a slider, and the file system is still like the static file system. It's just it looks like it's in 3D because it's floating.
Yeah.
Well, there is a holographic version of Windows that is that dopey. Explorers floating in space.
It's just like
I don't know. I mean, you've got
world.
to obviously invent a new vocabulary. But you can't get so far from the old vocabulary.
That's true, because then it becomes unfamiliar to those of us who've been living in this world.
We're still in the skeuomorphic stage of holographic interfaces.
It just feels somewhat antiquated.
So do you think you're going to see people on airplanes and subways with these on, and they're just going to be doing their things?
But remember how crazy we thought people with Bluetooth headsets looked for a while, just animatedly talking as they walked down the street? Now we're used to it. I think
and now we just accept AirPods like they don't look stupid.
Yeah, they still look stupid, but but everybody's wearing them.
Yeah, they still look like Q-tips in your ear.
Yeah.
But
but that's right.
People
you get used to
them because they're very convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
The HoloLenses do flip up, kind of like clip-ons, so you could kind of look normal, except that you're wearing a helmet.
Well, but it's becoming normalized the more we wear these things.
Yeah.
I mean, if the guy sitting next to you on the airplane had like an Oculus on, and he was just going at nuts with his arms and flailing everywhere,
I would be annoyed.
Oh God!
Would that be like? Could you call the flight
stewardess? He's annoying me.
As long as I don't hear it, and as long as you don't touch me, we're fine.
Yeah, get off my armrest.
Like, there's a new thing now where people apparently, if they don't have headphones, they'll still listen to their content on the plane, which is not okay.
That I really hate. And you see that with people talking on their phone on the plane.
Not okay.
Not okay.
But it's better that you can imagine the HoloLens is a lot better, right, in that kind of public scenario than actual virtual reality. And I do remember people making the argument that people were actually going to be wearing these things and effectively blinding themselves in public to the actual real world around them. And that made no sense to me. I've ridden the New York subway long enough to know that you want as many of your senses around you as possible.
Yeah.
Here's the creepy
in public.
Let me go back a little bit in this. This is in Gadget's edited video. This is the demonstration from the folks at Spatial of the kind of creepy teleconference. But as somebody in the chat room pointed out, this isn't about seeing each other as much as it is about seeing a shared knowledge space with objects in it. So even though this looks kind of weird and jerky and so forth, it's really the data that you're sharing and the things you're working on together. This is Mattel was showing how they might work on toys. Their employees are all over the place, but they can work in a shared space together as if they're meeting in the same room.
Yeah.
I was thinking this sort of thing would be really cool, as it advances, to maybe help people who have anxiety about being out in the world, something that they could wear.
Just so we need another reason for people to stay in their mom's basement.
Or get them out of it.
Or maybe get them out of it slowly but surely.
With something that would help them see the world.
So, but this isn't the form factor forever. This is today's form factor. This is the Commodore 64 form factor, right? We're at the early...
I think
Mr. No
Pants
is. You're right. Mr. No Pants is weird. Mr. No Pants is
Mr. No Pants
weird.
is creepy, right? That we're talking about. He stops at the waist. Not only no pants, no legs. Apparently, I know nothing.
Speaking of no pants, are we all?
I'm wearing pants.
I don't want to be the one to say this, but is this seems obvious use for porn?
Oh, you think?
I mean, it doesn't that drive all technology anyway?
All right, so we're going to go there. Let's go there.
Humans are lonely.
But wait a minute, we've had VR porn for a while. Is it huge? I don't know. Is it big? It's been around for a couple of years. I remember trying it.
It's massive, Leo. It's massive.
It's not as big as it appears in the mirror. I think it's a gimmick, but I'm not sure. I don't know because I haven't kept up on the numbers. When it first came out, I said, well, I have to see this. And it was actually a little disturbing because it's like you're really there. It is very real, maybe too real. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. I wonder
if Pornhub has ever put out the numbers on that because they're super, they're always like putting out data.
Oh, wait, I was going to say, don't they always put out data? They're like also a data company.
Yeah.
Well, let me look it up. I know I shouldn't be, but
be careful.
It's for science. But you do. But then you do. Remember, you do have to go to the.
Yeah.
But they have a site that's safe for work. With all the data.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry I made that search right now. I'm really apologizing.
Should have done it incognito because then it wouldn't have affected you as much.
I think I have now ruined my reputation on the internet. Let's go back.
I don't think
this is a porn device.
I don't think porn is that big in that sphere of use as we think.
You think fixing big engines is sexy.
I think people appreciate something a little more hands-on.
What they're showing here, which is kind of interesting, is and this is the new Microsoft also. It's an open platform which can be used with Android and iOS. So maybe one of your engineers can afford the expensive HoloLens, but the other one can be using an iPad. So she's seeing the same imagery on the iPad in augmented reality. So I think that's very interesting.
So they're not going after classrooms with this.
Well, it's expensive. They did mention education, but
I wonder if
right? Yeah.
I wonder if you could. I mean, if you can use this with Android, I wonder if you could do cardboard.
Sure. Why not? Yeah, I'm sure you can.
A few bucks. You can. One person has the HoloLens, and then everybody else gets.
I think that's exactly right. There's an inexpensive way to do it. That's VR, but you'd be able to see the image and that they're all talking about and working on.
I was going to say, I wonder if Google's tapped that market and the other companies are like, eh.
Well, see, this is why Microsoft doesn't care if Google and Apple are involved because what they're selling really is Azure services.
That's true.
This hardware is secondary to the whole thing. It's really all about Azure, and that was very clear from the beginning of the event on. It's all about the cloud. and selling services through the cloud. And weirdly, all of the products that they're talking about here, and here's where he's talking about open, and they have an app store, but anybody else can have an app store. All the products here are under the Microsoft sobriquet Dynamics 365, which until now was their CRM ERP platform. Ooh. But suddenly it's their augmented reality platform too. So they're clearly, they see this as a cloud service that happens to have some hardware, but it doesn't matter if it's not their hardware. Here's Tim Sweeney, who reminded me so much of the guy, I should turn the audio on for this, in...
Wait a minute.
So we're starting with the Unreal Engine. HoloLens support is up and running now and coming.
He's the geek in that Ready Player One. What was the name of the Ogden Morrow? He's Ogden Morrow.
All developers in May.
And on HoloLens.
I think that Ogden Morrow was based.
And for the long term.
Tim Sweeney. I shouldn't knock him. The guy made $7 billion last year on Fortnite. And Fortnite and HoloLens might be interesting. Is it Ogden Morrow? Is that right?
James Halliday.
James Halliday. I don't know who Ogden Morrow
Ogden
is.
Morrow was the business partner.
Oh,
that was kind of
Halliday was the nerdy guy.
Slightly more socially adept.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go. Everything you ever wanted to know and probably considerably more about HoloLens 2.
Good for Microsoft.
I'm rooting for them. Isn't that weird?
They're smart. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.